Action.
Good afternoon. The economic outlook of the Medicon Valley. In evaluating the economic outlook, we use the Cobb-Douglas production function as a model. The model looks at inputs and outputs. The inputs are capital, human capital, and total factor of productivity, which is referred to as TFP. Looking at capital, the Medicon Valley is a good place to invest capital in. There are tax incentives for research and development companies, which are fiscal policies geared at attracting investment and thus stimulating growth in the region. On the other hand, high tax rates for individuals will limit the amount of growth potential. From a human capital point of view, the Medicon Valley has fiscal policies that invest more in education as well as attract skilled labor through tax benefits for expats, which will improve the average skill of labor and thus fuel growth. TFP. There are factors that influence TFP, which include infrastructure and technology, which are excellent in the Medicon Valley. This will accelerate growth in the region and improve the economic outlook. There are common socio-cultural norms between Sweden and Denmark, which create cross-boundary interactions. On top of this, regulatory institutions such as the Medicon Valley Academy should be given more autonomy to make decisions. This will reduce red tape and ensure that decisions are made quicker to increase output. So the general outlook of the Medicon Valley, based on the points made above, the Medicon Valley has good expansionary fiscal policy to increase capital and human capital, which cover the first two factors of the model. However, more can be done to improve the total factor of productivity, which will further accelerate growth. Therefore, all in all, the economic outlook in the Medicon Valley is good for investors and the people of the region. What do you think of the Medicon Valley?
Well, this case definitely highlights economic points that many policymakers often debate about. The 3 points that we're going to be discussing are firstly tax. Should taxes be cut or not? Secondly, should a common currency be adopted for the Eurozone? And thirdly, education. When is government spending excessive on education? Let's first explore the debate of against cutting taxes. Bongani, what do you think?
Taxes shouldn't be cut in my point of view because tax drive inequalities as they benefit the wealthy. Secondly, fiscal deficit is created, which increase borrowing costs. And lastly, if we cut taxes, we reduce government income and spending, which is going to negatively affect growth in the future.
Okay. Slepe, what would you say the benefits are for cutting taxes?
There are benefits for tax cuts, and the benefits are as follows. Tax cuts increase employees after tax income, which increases spending in the economy, driving high economic growth. Also, business costs are reduced, leading to increased capital expenditure and higher employment for the economy. Also, in the long run, the government income is not reduced, as increased economic activity and employment increases the overall tax that is collected by the government.
Okay, well, let's now explain the adoption of a common currency, the Eurozone. Why should countries be against adopting a common currency?
Sweden and Denmark, in my point of view, are lagging countries and should be against adopting the euro. Switching currencies will result in short-term fluctuations of trade, and the long-term benefits of that are not proven. All right? And secondly, a common eurozone monetary policy may be inappropriate to domestic conditions, high employment, and low growth in the future.
Okay. What would you say the benefits to a common currency would be, Selepe?
Yes, in the short term there might be fluctuations. However, there are long-term benefits for adopting a common currency for the Eurozone and for the two countries, that is Denmark and Sweden. Same currency eliminates trade costs, which increases trade between the countries, which is good for the economy. And also, in the long term, currency variations for a large pool of countries is less erratic, resulting in better planning for the businesses, better investments in businesses, and also this will lead to increased foreign direct investment in the Eurozone and the two countries, and the Medicon Valley will benefit from that FDI.
Okay. Okay, let's go over to education. Both Sweden and Denmark invest a lot of spending into the education in comparison to the other European countries. Do you feel this high spend is justified, Bongani?
I think both Sweden and Denmark have spent too much on education already. I think if you look at the total factor of productivity, for example, they're supposed to be spending more on infrastructure development and technology. And investing in education for me is just wasteful, and costs will just increase, and demand factors will just be distorted with no increase in human capital in the long run.
Okay, so I know you'll have a slightly different view.
Indeed, I do have. I don't think the spend on education is excessive for Denmark, Sweden, and the Medicon Valley. So the spending is high compared to the higher countries, and this creates comparative advantage for the two countries as it drives higher human capital. Also, the high government spending on education allows the poor to have good access to education, and therefore they participate better in the economy, and this reduces inequality in the society. And then also, if the government has high spend on education, the private sector can contribute by investing in advanced and specific skills development that drives even higher human capital and growing the economy even further and at a faster pace.
Okay. Well, as you can see, the views of these issues are diverse. I have to agree when it comes to education with Selepe that investing in education and higher spend is great as long as the education is being used efficiently and in improving the human capital and in turn the total factor productivity. However, the issues on tax cuts and the common currency I will leave to other policymakers and economists, and hopefully they will come up with a working solution.